to Explosive Truth Podcast with Jared Bendy. In this episode, I'm going to give a jump book update and I'm going to go over some questions that I received through email and Instagram. So, anyway, here we go with another episode of Explosive Strength. All right, jump book. Jump book's basically written and done. I just have to get it to publishing, try to figure out how to get it encrypted so it can be shared, and waiting on my graphic designer for the cover of the book. Chapter 1 is basically how I got started with business, how I came up with the location, and how I came up with the name Explosive Mechanics and the meaning behind Explosive Mechanics. Chapter 2 is how I came up with Dumbbell Jumps, and I talk about different things that happened with that. And chapter 3 is why dumbbells instead of different other things, and I try to get more detailed with that. And chapter 4 is how we jump with the dumbbells, how we wave them, how we pick the weights, how we do what everybody wants to know. And chapter 5 is technique and troubleshooting. So showing pictures of what good technique looks like, showing pictures of what bad technique looks like, and showing as many examples of different things as I can to help everyone understand how to improve the vertical jump. Years ago, you had to buy gimmicks like jump soles and all these other things to improve your vertical. People were trying to do everything they could to improve the vertical. I even did the same thing, and it never worked until I figured this stuff out. And the science and the application behind why the weights, how much weight, and all that stuff will be in this book. But speaking of jump techniques, sometimes I see on Instagram where people will jump in the air and their feet flail in front of them. If they start doing that, they'll get a good number right off the bat. They'll break their old vertical record, but the problem with the feet coming in front is that they may get a good number that day, but that number will no longer improve. It will just plateau and not improve more than what it already has. So just because that number is good that day does not mean it will continue to improve. If you look up the biomechanics of jumping, jumping is primarily hip extension. The hips got to come forward. So you could take a sheet of paper and you can kind of let a little sag in it, put a pin on it, and then pull the paper apart as hard as fast as you can. The harder and faster you unfold that paper, the higher that pin will bounce off the paper. If you unfold the paper slowly, it won't go up as high. And so you have to look at the muscles responsible for extending the hip, which are your hamstrings and your glutes are your primarily hip extensors. What extends the knee? Your quadriceps. So you got to look at knee extension, hip extension, and all that stuff, and strengthen the muscles responsible for the cause of muscle action. Now, when you jump, you want your hips. If you look at most of my videos, when my people are in the air, they are almost dead straight. Their hips come forward. They are almost just perfectly vertical off the ground. And sometimes you'll see other people with their feet come in front of them. Even the people that I've had at the gym, it's a very hard habit to get them to break with the feet coming forward once they see that good number. You have to let them know you have to improve the bad number. So they may good, but you got a hard fight to get them to understand that the straighter they are, the more their vertical will continue to improve over time. Also within the jump book, everyone that's I've had, as of now, I've had 31 people reach 40 inches in a vertical. You know, we get a lot of crap sometimes when they're trying to land. I tell you, you can only cheat a cheat so much. So if you do cheat the jump mat for a little bit, it's not going to make that much of a difference in the overall vertical number. It may look bad on film, but it happens so quick and it's taking time off the mat. The mat calculates jump height by time off the mat. That's correct, but you're still falling at 9.8 meters per second, and when you hit that mat, it's not that much of a difference. So if you were to cheat it as much as you can at a 26-inch vertical, once you cheat, there's no more cheating. It's straight up improvement from there. So in the book, it's going to cover how many athletes were in the 20s over. I didn't break it down as far as how many people have jumped over 40 inches that were over 205 pounds. I know Cam he was 240 with a 40-inch vertical. Dylan was 235 with a 41.6 vertical. Colton was 205 to 210 range with a 44 3-inch vertical. And Brooks Hardy was 205 with a 42-inch vertical. Those are people I can count off the top of my head that have achieved a 40-inch vertical with being above 205 pounds. So once you cheat, you can only cheat so much to keep. Then you have to continue to improve. So if your cheat improves, your without weight is going to improve too, because there's only so much time you can stay off the mat. So you got to have enough force. Jumping is putting force into the ground. The more force you put into the ground, the higher you come up. But if your technique with the hips and stuff coming forward, if jumping's a result of hip extension and your hips flex, when your feet come forward, that's hip flexion. So if you go straight or your feet slightly kind of come behind you, that's hip extension. So the greater or the straighter you are in the air, the better your jump result will be or continue to improve over time. It may not be what you want it to be right there. So if you've got athletes out there with their feet coming forward, you need to fix it. Once you fix it, they'll continue to improve. So I know a lot of people out there want to know how we do it and how we continue to improve our jumps. But there's some kids that come to the gym, they play basketball, they play volleyball, they play soccer. Some of them don't even care. The dumbbell jumps sucks because we do them all the time. We don't come in hurdle jump one day. We don't come in and do seated box verticals one day. We don't do reactive box jumps. We don't do all these other things. If you've noticed, I've talked about the one thing that always happens, once you get that 40-inch vertical, once you get that 38-inch vertical, once you train the vertical in you, this is something I've not figured out yet. It stays. I had a kid come back to the gym. He's not been there in a month. And he broke his vertical jump record, and he's not been doing anything but playing his sport. I think he jumped a 34, 35, and his last jump was a 33. So he came in almost 2 inches higher, not have jumped in a while. But you've heard me talk about like Lasky when he's not done anything for 3 years, comes in, his best all-time vertical was a 38.5, comes in, jumps a 35.5-inch vertical, working just a normal job for 3 years. I've had this kid, Grasser, he left the gym, he came back, he was at a 36 or a 37, which broke his previous record after taking a month or two off. And once he knew he was that close, then he continued to stay till we got to 40. So the one thing is, once it's trained into you, you really don't lose it. And some of these changes in the vertical just could be delayed transformation. So the one thing, once you get that vertical where you want it, then you have earned the right to go do these other cool looking jump exercises. So some kids will come in and they'll go over there and jump. 5 minutes later, they're done. At 233 pounds, my highest vertical was a 37. If I could quit destroying my body, I was going to try to get to 40. I just get so many bumps and bruises along the way that it's hard for me to continue to push, and I know how to chase those numbers. But so for me at 233, at 37-inch vertical, I think 37, 38 years old is when I did that, you could still train. Just because you're getting older don't mean you have to grow old. So always continue to try to push. If I did it at that age, these young kids really have no excuse. But sometimes they'll come in and want to be done with their dumbbell jumps in and out 5 minutes. People most time will treat some of the stuff that I give them as a checklist. Oh, I did this, did that, did this. Done, Jared, I'm done. Like, you're done? How the hell did you finish so fast? When it really is, you have to get the most out of that exercise that day. you got to try to beat your stuff. The hardest part about coming to the gym, explosive mechanics, is beating your last set of numbers. We're not coming in here for a workout. We are training. We're trying to teach the body. And I'm like a teacher. I am going to give the kids the material, and then at the end of the month, I'm going to test them to see if they're learning the material that I have given them. So I'm a teacher, but I can't do the homework for them. I can't do the classroom work for them. Coming in and beating your jumps all the time, sometimes it's actually depressing. Sometimes it actually sucks, but it can be done. I've got kids, I got 2 folders that I'm going to go over. I'll actually do that right now. If you heard me talk last week, I went over the vertical jump of this one kid. On his second cycle with the 40s, he was 2 inches worse than he was the first time through. So the first time through, his best was a 23 point something, and his second wave through was a 21. But I also caught him just going over there, jumping with and without the weight and marking it, moving on. Hey, I did that. You did it, but you didn't get the most out of that exercise that we were doing. You did not get the most out of it. You just went over there, I did it. Hey, go do your tricep press downs. Jared, I did them. How the hell did you finish so quick? It really gets on my nerves when these people go, hey, I did it. Yes, you did it, but what did you get out of it? What did you get out of doing those dumbbells today? What did you get out of that exercise? What did you get out of it? And so this one kid with I was talking to Blake at Grindhouse last week. I just don't focus on using the 30s. I don't train my 30s to get to a 30-inch vertical, although I think jumping a 30-inch vertical with 30s is pretty cool. I've had people lately get the jump a 30-inch vertical with 40s. And I appreciate Michael Fahey of Westside Film. He put out a statistic that I've got most of the people and at Rivals don't even jump 30 inches. I got people jumping 30 inches of weight, so thanks, Michael, for having my back on that post. Khalil, thanks, and Blake, all y'all, I appreciate it. We are still jumping what most people, even at the NFL Combine, we're jumping their verticals with an extra 70 to 80 pounds in our hand. So this kid, cycle 1 with 30s, his best was a 22. Next cycle was a 23.9. Next cycle, 26. The next cycle, a 29. So this kid's gone from jumping a 21.4 with 30s to jumping, I didn't even see that. I don't even think he told me today. He jumped a 30.2. He jumped a 30 with the 30s. He's already gone up 9 inches. 21.4 to a 30.2. And I just now saw that for the first time. I saw his 29.4 the other day. The biggest thing is he's coming in, he's spending time. Him and his friend, these 2 guys drive down 3 days a week from Georgia State, which is in downtown Atlanta, which that traffic is hellacious. And I really appreciate these 2 guys. They're kickers and they grind. So I really appreciate their work, and you can see that it's showing up. One of them started off at a 25-inch vertical. Now he's at a 36.9. And he's been here a little bit longer. So that was Cade. This is Noel. Noel started off with a 23 as best with 30s. And then after 23 is his starting thing. And his best is 28.3 after just 1 cycle. And so how I'm reading these numbers and how these things are cycled, I'm going to we have these things at the gym we call jump stickers. And I'm going to have examples of the jump stickers that I use in the book. And these 2 kids will be examples because they've done an excellent job of continuing to improve. Just since May, this one kid, these 36, 37s don't happen overnight. This kid's been coming, it's at the end of July now. This kid's been coming since May 3rd. But consistent grind, 25.5 to 36.9. So you can't beat that. And Noel, looks like he started in June. We're at the end of July, so 2 full months. Started off at a 28.2. Now is at a 36.6. So both of them are grinding. The thing about kickers and jumping is the higher they jump, the more force they put in the ground, the more lift they cause to get their body off, the further their ball goes. So the further they're able to kick the ball, so it helps them. So if you can kick the ball with 80% effort, which used to be your 100% effort, you have more control. Like when you're trying to punt in the league, they may want the ball out, one bounce out on the 28-yard line. You know, and if you're a kicker, you need to get touchbacks. You need to be able to kick long distance field goals. A kicker is a powerful weapon. But another thing these kids do is they grind on their squats. Let's see if I can pull this off right here. 6:30. So let's go 6:30. He was moving 2:05. The fastest speed at 2:05 at the end of June was a 0.5. The other day, it was a 0.50, and he only got 1.5. If you listened to the podcast last time with Dylan, we write these things, or I may have talked to Blake or someone. We write stuff as a fraction. So here, he had 2:05 sets of 3. He had 4 sets of 3. 0.49, he got 3.4s in that set. Then the next set, he got 0.46, but he only got 2 4s out of 3. The third set, he got 1.50, and I don't know how many 4s, so whatever the highest number is with the Tendo. So like for his third set, his highest number was a 0.5. So he got 0.5, only got 1, so he writes 0.5 over 1. Last set, he got 0.48 over 2, so he got 2.48s. Being it was not a 5, he didn't give me any 5s. And we're not always, I was trying to talk, when we're squatting, we're not always just squatting. We're not staying in the 6s. Just like you see here, where Cade, he had a 0.5, he only got 1, then the rest of his stuff was in the 4s. So move along now. Now we're at the end. So at the end of June, he was moving 2:05, fastest speed of 0.50. Fast forward to 1 month later, he's moving 2:25, first set at a 0.52. Already 20 pounds of strength speed he's already moved up, 0.52. Next set, he got a 0.43, but he got 2 4s. Next set, he got a 0.53. Next set, he got a 0.46. And so over here, he's moved 240 at a 0.41, which he got 2 4s, 225 at a 0.50 and a 0.53. So in that 1 month, he's going up 20 pounds in strength speed. Let's check. I'll see what Noel was doing. Holy shit, his speeds are too fast. And so I think I saw that the other day. He was moving 225 sets of 3, 0.70 and a 0.76. He got out of 2 sets of 3, so out of 6 total reps, he got 5 in the 7s. So I said, damn, he's moving. So I bumped him to 240, 6'3", 2 of them, 6'9", 3. So he had sets of 3 at 240. He had 263. He had 2 6s, 3 6s, 3 6s, and 2 6s. So I dropped him back down to 225 so I can ramp him back up to 255 at a 0.58 for 2. And so now he's moving. So I had to keep, he was, like I said, these kids grind. They come, they work together. They don't bother anybody. All they care about is getting better. And now he's moving 265 at a 0.63, 0.59, 0.60, and a 0.59. So to jump higher, you also have to get stronger. And these kids are working on their strength speeds, their squat speeds with the Tendo are moving their verticals are moving, but they're in there. They're not in there just to, oh, I got sets of 3. I am trying to see how damn fast I can move this weight. I am trying to accelerate this weight as fast as I can each set. So I am going to try and beat this number. Just like that one kid, he came in and he did his dumbbell jumps. Yeah, he came in and he jumped with his weight, but he didn't spend enough time to try to get better. You may start off. So like if, he starts off at a 28.2, next one's a 27, the next one may be a 28.5, he may just quit and move on. But no, a lot of people, like they listen to the podcast, they hear trying to get that magical 30 with the 30s. The thing magical about 30s with 30s is just cool. You'll have your best jumps with heavier weight than you will sometimes with the 30s. You got to figure out your pattern, and I'm putting that in the troubleshooting of the book, is when it's not working. I'm about to go over some questions that I received through Instagram, because I hear some people, they'll use the weight, then they'll get stuck. I did leave some of my notes. The main thing that I was going to try to cover with this podcast, I did leave that at the gym, so I've been sitting here trying to go over and rethink what was on that sheet. So I'm going to probably do another podcast tomorrow and work on talking about speed training, how numbers and physics actually matter, and what real speed training is. I know we talked about this on the podcast over and over again. These track people will go out and run, but they need to spend time in the weight room, just like Verkhoshansky did in the 60s. He got snowed in off the tracks. He had access to a gym, had boxes, weights, they squatted, they jumped, we squat, we jump. There's a little bit more knowledge out there now than it was then from over time experimenting what does or what does not work. But the bottom line is, he was snowed in off the tracks, could not go out there and run. And he was a track guy. The Russians were trying to win as many anaerobic sports, and they dominated the Olympics, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and I think even into the 90s. I think over here we just get too cocky. We're not really, I don't even think we're winning the medal count. This year, total medals, we may be winning the gold medals. So U.S. is kind of slacking things. Everybody over here thinks they know everything. And they don't want to test and they don't want to listen to anybody. But most of these track people just spend so much time running track. Verkhoshansky in the 60s realized when they were snowed in off the track that the athletes were improving at faster rates more than the other years combined. And he said, I never thought about lifting weights to make us faster. Just like your car. You can get highly efficient at driving your car around the same obstacle over and over and over again. But until you increase that stupid horsepower, your car's only going to run at a certain rate of speed. So without horsepower, you ain't going to go anywhere. You may improve a little bit, and that's what I was trying to get to at these track people. Oh, my daughter got faster. My son's faster. What is great speed improvement? A tenth of a second? If you're a swimmer, if you need to try to get to the collegiate level in the 100-meter sprint for swimming, if you're at 101.55, so you take 6 seconds off the hump, that's really good for swimming. But when someone says they improve for track and stuff like that, if they're going running 11.2, a lot of people knows how hard it is to get to a 10.8. What if you take that 11.2 guy, get him to a 10.4? And a lot of these people are not taking time to do it because they want to just, like a lot of baseball players, they just want to go hit balls, hit balls, hit balls, hit balls, hit balls. Well, newsflash, people, bat speed is correlated with bench press. So bench press, if you improve your bench, you'll actually improve your swing speed of your baseball bat. Why do you think so many home runs are not being hit now? Well, they took steroids out. You take steroids away, you take strength away from these baseball players who are too freaking lazy to lift weights when they were younger. Look at these major league guys. These guys in the league, they are huge. Most of them probably played other sports besides just baseball. You can't just go beat balls, and expect to get better. your swing, your technical aspect may get better, just like Bryson DeChambeau. Everybody was giving him shit for getting bigger and stronger, but now he's freaking crushing the ball in golf. So if these baseball players would spend part of the year working on real strength training instead of just technical training, they'd get a lot better. And the thing about real strength training, like when you come to explosive mechanics, it sucks. It's grueling. It's grueling, and I'm giving 5 minutes between squats. I'm giving 4.5 minutes between bench sets. So if you got sets of 5 or sets of 3, you still got a 4.5 to 5 minute rest break on bench and on squat. Our accessories, we may pick up the speed a little bit, but the rest is there. And if you're a real grinder, if you're someone like a lot of the kids I have at the gym, they appreciate that rest break. They appreciate it. The stronger you get, the more power you output, the more you actually try to get better, the more you appreciate the rest. If you're just trying to get in and get the hell out, you're there for a workout. You're not there to train. Working out, you're just basically burning calories, going through a movement, going on about your day, and complaining about not getting better. The people who get better come in exhausted set. If they got a set of 3, they're exhausted. They need that 4.5 minute rest so that they get their next set. A lot of things in high school is they'll take off weight in order to get reps. They will aid or help guide the bar to get more reps. I told the kid today, like when you're writing your sets and your reps back to me, we got so many kids coming to the gym at some time, I can't even think. And the deal is, if I want you to get, say, 4 sets of 4 on bench, let's go even higher. Let's go sets of 6. And you get your first set, you get all 6. And if the next set, you get 4 and your training partner helps, taps, guides the bar. Oh, I didn't touch it. If your skin touches that bar, you touched it. I didn't help. If your skin touched the bar, you helped. And they help them out with rep 5, rep 6. They have done pushed that kid that just benched, helping him get to 6. They have done fatigued him to a higher rate to where he's not going to now be able to recover and that 4.5 minute rest period. That's bodybuilding crap. When you're seeing these people aid or help guide the bar along, that's bodybuilding. We're not trying to grow muscular. We're not trying to be bodybuilders. We're not trying to grow a lot of muscle tissue. We're trying to be fast and explosive. So if someone touches the bar, if I wanted to get them 4 sets of 6, I got a 6. Someone touched the bar at rep 5. When we touch the bar, we pull the bar. I'm trying to take as much stress off the person benching as possible. So if they get to 4 and 5's coming up, they stop halfway, I'm not fighting them out for that rep. I'm pulling the bar so that they don't fatigue, so they can get ready and recover for the next set. So they may go 6, 4, 4, 4, 4, instead of going 6, 4, 3, 2, or some type of fatigue rate over that time period will be so much that they won't be able to recover. And so you'll see them do that a lot in high school. I see them do that crap on Instagram and things like that. That's old school way of thinking. Hey, it helps their confidence. Well, guess what? Jared don't care about your confidence. I don't believe in confidence stuff. If you miss your rep and you don't like it, you get pissed off and you come back and you fight to get that rep. You got 4.5 minutes. Get ready and get shit done. And so this taking off weight, no wonder these people in school ain't getting better. I had some kids in high school. One kid was coming to the gym. He had a 245 bench. 3 months, he benched 315. Well, his friend that had the same bench max at 245 he did, he was at 245 2.5 months later. And so in 3 months, one went from 245 to 315, and the other kid, in 3 months, I don't know where it's end of his 3 months, but I know at the end of 2 months is only from 45 to 55. Schools are working the kids out. They're not training the kids. Training is teaching. Where's the testing? If you're training someone, where's your test? If you're not testing, you're exercising. So enough of that rant. I got off on the dumbbell jumps and stuff that I really wanted to. So let's open this up and see what kind of questions came to me through Instagram and email. If they put their name, I'll let you know. All right, this one. Hey, Jared, my name is Tommy Pappas. I'm a professional basketball player playing in Greece. I am a massive fan of your work and definitely want to get down to Georgia at some point to check you guys out. I have a couple of quick questions. My question has to do with the dumbbell jumps. Okay, it's all the way from Greece with the dumbbell jumps. Thanks, Tommy. How do you exactly pick the weights? That's in chapter 3 or 4, I believe. I know you generally use coach's intuition for these, but do you have a rule of thumb? I actually have science application for that, and why. Do you guys still have guys jump in season, or who just had practice and can't hit their numbers? Do you guys jump 3 times per week? Okay, I like to have my guys jump in season. We may not spend that much time on it, or I may not be we may jump once or twice a week. Right now, out of season for most everybody, we try to jump 3 days a week. Some kids don't come to the gym 3 days a week, they come twice a week, and they still get pretty good or pretty decent jump improvement results. But like you heard me earlier in the podcast when I was talking about those kids, they took a month or 2 off and they came back with higher verticals. So if you're beat up and you're getting toward the end of the season, lay off the dumbbells, because you're not really going to lose that much of your jumping ability. You know, you're not going to go down from, if you're jumping a 38, you're not going to jump a 34 probably ever again unless you actually do nothing for a long time. I mean, I'm sit in a room and twiddle your thumbs for all I'm concerned. So I'd like to try to have them jump in season just so we don't lose a whole lot of it. But sometimes it can be depressing because you're not beating your numbers. But even if you just dropped it, you're still not going to come out of the season that much worse. Okay, so Tommy, if you're ever in Georgia, yeah, feel free. I've had people from all over, as far as California, Florida, Michigan, Nebraska. People come, want to just check out the gym. Lee Haney's even checked out the gym, did a podcast with him. There's people from all over, so feel free. This question comes from Jake. Hey, Jake Ferguson. Hey, Jared, I've been listening to your podcast the past few days, and I keep hearing you mention brief maximum tension method when referring to how you run your benching and your squatting. How does this method differ from maximum effort method? The brief maximum tension method, Jake, is a sub-method of the maximum effort method. Brief maximal tension, I believe, is 3 to 5 reps or 2. I'm not looked at the article. And while it's 3 to 5 reps, which for a non-advanced athlete that does not know how to strain or actually kind of grind through the weight, most of the kids I deal with, and I deal with kids that are younger than me, they're mainly high school kids, middle school kids, kids getting ready to go to college, kids in college. Once they get to the professional level, I really don't see them that much anymore, because depending on where they are, like example, Mike Hilton, he trained at the gym. He went to the Steelers, and Mike, sorry, I forgot where you just got moved to now, and like Will Lutz, he's at the Saints. He used to train. He used to live fairly close to the gym. Lives in New Orleans now. So some of these kids, once they make it to the league, I may never see them. So saying that means that once you get more advanced, even for me at double bodyweight bench press competition, I still use the brief maximum tension. a lot of people need that tension in order to know how to grind. It is a sub-method of the maximum effort method, so it's just not like maxing out all the time. You can go do a max set of 3. You can do a max set of 5. You can do max sets of 4. So that way, if you hear, like when I was talking about those folders, we are 3, 4, 5 reps. And occasionally I may throw 6 in there, but that's very rare. Anything greater than 6 will hinder strength development. And that is in super training somewhere. So Jake, I hope that answered your question. If not, feel free to email me again. I do take a long time to answer this stuff. I have, for people looking on YouTube, I have built my own podcast table. So now that I can do them when I'm at home, so I don't have to sit in the gym and kill myself sweating. I've got my logo etched into this table, so that way I can do podcast here. If I guess they're more than welcome to come here. We still have mics and stuff at the gym. And the thing is, as I do all this stuff on my own, I have the lighting system. I found these mics, recording system, figuring out how to get this crap uploaded. A lot of people have help. I don't have help. So it takes me longer. And sometimes when I get home, I'm just done for the damn day. And so it does take me a while, but hopefully having a setup here to where now that I'm in air conditioner, I can actually sit here, do a weekly podcast and get this stuff out. So I know people, I hate it when people don't respond to me, and I'm sorry if I don't respond to you for a long period of time, but eventually I will get better. This guy says, hope you're well. I came across some of your stuff. Like the way you guys explain information and exercise. Do you guys have a strength program for 7-year-olds? If so, I am based in the UK, so someone else that's not even in the United States. Thank you for listening. Is there something you could send over via email? Also, could you please tell me your cost it would be? The biggest thing about 7-year-olds, and in the book, we talk about waves and stuff and how, when to change the weight, what weight to pick, when to change, how to change, and all that stuff. Young kids, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe even up to 11, they don't need to change that much. Kids don't really benefit from alternating or changing the weights like we would as we get older. Like when we're dumbbell jumping, when you can wave a high school kid, but that's why I did a thing with Khalil. It's on Khalil Sherrard's podcast. I talk about training frequency. It's just important that the young kids do the same damn thing over and over. And I think I talked about little Johnny jumps with 8-pound dumbbells. He don't go to 10s. He don't go to 12s. He don't go to 15s. He don't go to 5s. He just jumps with the damn 8. I guess it's more about the movement and motor pattern. Reading, I don't know which book I read the other day. Usually when I read a book, I have like 3 or 4 books at the same time. And I get lost on where I hear this information. But in the book, I noticed for a while, I've talked about this, kids just need to do the shit. And I read in the book, kids don't benefit from waving that much. I said, I knew it, so I just put that in the bank. Jared likes to be right and move on. But it's really satisfying to, a lot of stuff I've done at the gym, I go back and I look at it. Some of this stuff's already been written years ago, and it's just verifying and justifying that what I'm doing is out there and it works. I'm just trying to explain it, but I can't pinpoint tell you without having the books right in front of me. I know the information. I've learned information myself, and I just don't take science and take the word for it. I take it to the gym, I put it in place, and I test it to see if it's actually working for my population. And that's the thing about a lot of stuff is sometimes the population may respond differently. The older, the mid-20s, 30s may respond totally different than a 17 or 18-year-old. And I know they do from a 12 to an 8-year-old. So whatever the population is, figure out you, improve you, take this information, apply it to your training, and have the designated test time. Don't test May, then come back and test July. What happened to June? You could have improved, you could have done something in May. At the end of April, you tested in May, you improved. Skip June, you could have improved at the end of June, but you waited to July, so you may have done something different with your exercise in July that resulted in a negative impact for your July testing. So you don't never know unless you test consistently. Hey, coach, I'm a coach, footballer. I would like to implement some of your programming towards my performance this year to elevate my just jump score. I'm currently jumping 27 inches on the mat. Let me know if you can facilitate your service to me online. Thanks. I do get a lot of these online questions and stuff. I think the answer to the online stuff, because when it's me at the gym, it's me helping the kids running the show. I don't have time to sit there and mess around on the computer while the gym's open and running. When it's open and running, I'm busy. So maybe I don't have to work all day. On Saturdays, I work in the morning. Then I try to spend time with my wife Saturday afternoons. Sometimes we do stuff Sundays. Then we're back to Monday, the grind, getting it done. So I may take some of those afternoons. My schedule's about to start changing a little bit more because school's starting to open up. And so I'm not like a lot of other people. I don't really deal with adults that much. So I'll have some time, and I'm just gonna do a Patreon channel. Technique, videos, try to do this YouTube stuff, you know. But when I'm there during the day by myself, it's just me and my camera. I may just have to set it up like I do for the podcast and just kind of go over it. There's no following Jared around. So hopefully the Patreon channel is gonna help people. I know because I guess I'm underutilized myself because there's a lot of people across the world, like UK, Greece, Australia. All these people want my help, and I like to help them. I just need to figure out how to help those people without overwhelming myself with doing hands-on gym stuff and hands-on online stuff. So hopefully I can figure that out. Everybody knows if you listen to podcasts, if you listen to a lot of this podcast, you know I take forever to do stuff. Hey Jared, thank you for your podcast. I've been finding them very helpful, and I'm looking for a little guidance. Hopefully you can provide me to some insights. I'm a 46-year-old father of 5, got your hands full, weigh 172 pounds, who has been recently lifting for 78 years. Okay. I was lucky enough to find great info about Westside in various formats, and subsequently Dave Tate and Mark Ripto, just prior to you. With my slight frame and getting up there in age, my goal is to simply become as strong as I can without spending more than 3 to 4 hours a week in the gym. Upon finding your work, I now want to help my 2 teenagers develop strength and help them improve their performance. I would happily send them to train with you, but I live 30 miles east of Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, so far away again. See, need to be helping these people. I am hoping that you can either point me in the direction of someone, some routines, templates, a specific article, or a podcast that I've missed to help me with my kids. My daughter is a junior in high school who runs 300-meter hurdles and hopes to compete at the D2 level in college. Her times right now are borderline 47.7 is her PR. Any help or guidance is truly appreciated. You have me fully convinced your methods are superior to a lot of crap that I've seen. It's disappointing actually that so much crap is out there in our high schools, but I'm sure it really bothers you more. Thanks again. Take care. Best wishes, Aaron Murray. Aaron, I don't know when you sent this to me, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. Live in Ohio, like to help you. Wish I had people to bounce ideas off of. Let's see, point me in direction, routines, templates. Paul Quinn wrote a lot of stuff on templates, sets, reps, things like that. You may have the weightlifting encyclopedia. They may have, like there's a Russian squat routine where you do the 80% 6'2", 6'3", 6'2", 6'4". There's a Russian squat routine like that. some of those routines, as far as you having dedicated sets and reps, I have to come in here and hit 80% 6 sets of 6. Like, jeez. Oh, I think I don't feel good. I just, no. What you need to do is you need to grind and push that. So, specific article, podcast that I may have missed to help my kids. I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts. My commute to work is very short. I usually just listen to talk radio and try to get up on this political stuff. And trying to learn that. So by the time I get to a podcast, we're learning, training, and things like that. Again, I guess I'd refer you to some Poliquin podcast. Some people that train athletes, like some of these bodybuilders and stuff, are going to give you exercise routines to train muscle tissue. When you're training athletes, it's more about nervous system activation and nervous system development versus muscular tissue development. Because without nerves, your muscle tissue does no good. So sarcoplasmic hypertrophy versus sarcomere hypertrophy and things like that. Let me see, I'm sitting here. I don't see any books behind me. Science of Sports Training would be a good book. Super Training is always a good book to go to. I don't think it tells you why, but it don't give you specific adaptations or specific routines for stuff like that. Science and Sports Training, I don't know if that does. I don't think it does. It talks more about science and application. And both Super Training, that book, I think, Essentials of Strength Conditioning Research, they talk about anything over 6 reps hinders strength development. Westside's got specific routines and things like that. That would almost air and be a phone call. You're more than welcome to give me a phone call. So I don't think I really answered your question a whole lot. But the biggest thing is get them stronger in a squat. Don't over squat them. Don't squat 10s. Don't squat 8s. Don't 5 or less. A lot of rest. Work on acceleration of the bar. I don't know a whole lot about track sprinting because I don't care about track. And I had a guy come to the gym the other day. My thought, I don't know, but my thought is if I can make them faster in 40 meters, they're going to be faster in 50. They're going to be faster in 60. They should be faster in 100 if I make them fast. Because your technique in track does matter for your fatigue rate, but you got to think about this. Running efficiency versus running power. The more power you have, the more efficient you can be. So you're not going, what's more important, efficiency or power? Power makes you become more efficient. So the more force you put in the ground, the less effort you have to get moving. And so just a thing like steroids, you took steroids out of baseball, you quit having home runs. So anyway, Eric, hopefully that helped. Hello, this is Josh. I've been looking through your posts and I'm quite amazed with your results, which brings me to my question. Do I sell programs or plans? See, I copied and pasted these things into a pages thing so I could read them all at one time. So this is pretty much the first time that I'm reading after I copied and pasted them. Another person that would like help. Do you sell programs and plans? No, not right now. I can't work out at your gym or anything else because I live in Massachusetts. And you don't already sell programs. I like somehow personalize one for myself from you, as it's the closest I can to get to being trained by you. Please let me know. Josh, I can't say your last name because I'd butcher it, but I'll work on that for you. Unleashed Performance. Jared, thanks for the podcast you put out. They are really fun to listen to. You produce some of the craziest results in the world. Unleashed Performance, thanks. I was in a recent one talking about rehabbing a high hamstring strain you did in a few weeks. Could you please give me a few examples of things you were doing for that? RDLs, as long as they're tolerating it. Unleashed, I think RDLs is too much stress. And I was trying to we was talking about Dylan and some other people about the hamstring issue is that looking to create, I have a pen in my hand. This pen's not heavy enough for me to activate enough tissue to do anything. Because the kid at the gym, Dylan, he was just doing standing leg curls with his foot, his shoe. So that's basically, he's doing leg curls with nothing. And so to rehab a tissue, you have to create some type of tension in that tissue so that tissue can squeeze and be activated and create more blood flow to create healing power to it. That's why sometimes people will go get ultrasounds, and when you go to physical therapy, they rub that thing on you, just creating blood flow. But you can do that yourself if you create blood flow. What I had him do, we did 45 hyper. We could do that with body weight. I think I may even started him off at like a 20-pound bar, put it in his hands, up and down. We did sets of, now, when you hear me talk about sets of 6 or less, we're going for strength, optimal strength development, trying to increase more neural drive to the tissue without creating as much hypertrophy. And now for something like a hamstring, you have to reverse course and go a different direction, because most of the time in these podcasts, I talk about creating strength and power and not about this. So at this specific time, I'm going to talk about hamstring rehab stuff. You do a lot more reps, shorter rest break. It's going to be about blood flow. When you create lactic acid in the body, lactic acid, for you, those of you that do not know, is not the soreness in the muscle tissue the next day. Lactic acid is a byproduct of carbohydrate metabolism. So what you need to do, what's associated with lactic acid, is also, it can be called lactate or whatever these other people out there want to criticize and say. It's just easier to understand when I say it, is that growth hormone is released. Growth hormone repairs tissue. But you're not going to repair tissue if the load's too light. If the load's too heavy, it's going to create too much strain, create micro tears in the tissue. And another thing people don't know, don't ever freaking stretch a pulled or torn muscle. Once you stretch, you do create micro tears in the tissue itself. So if you've got something pulled, strained, or torn, and you stretch the thing that's pulled, strained, or torn, you're putting trauma on top of trauma, and you may never get out of it. So create some type of muscular tension that's going to be more higher reps, 15, 20, 25, banded leg curls. That's hamstring at the knee. I don't know if I had Dylan do banded good mornings or not. Something that creates tension enough to make the muscle burn, but not enough to make the muscle really strain, if that makes sense. RDLs, if it's high hamstring, maybe just get an RDL position and hold it. Maybe just do the bar for the RDLs if they can tolerate it. Because you're trying to create anywhere between, if you listen to Louis talk, the Jamaican sprinters, ultra high reps, 200 leg curls with 5-pound ankle weights on. It takes, I wrote that down one time. I timed it so I didn't have to count, because I lose count after 10. Will help with hamstring things and strains as well. So you're going to go a lot higher reps, shorten the rest, create some type of tension so that you can create some type of chemical response in the body without overdoing it. So at least I hope that helps creating some type of tension without killing the tissue itself. So RDLs at 135, even if they are a 400 or 500 pound squatter, it may be too much. So that's something you got to play around with. Hopefully the information that I said helps. So here's another question. This is from Ronnie Corville. Hey, Jared, just listen to your last podcast. You mentioned you helped your athletes recover from a high hamstring at the pull tip. Okay, see, like I said, so this is another hamstring question. I also have an athlete going through this. What are some things you did to help him get back to 100%? Well, Ronnie, I hope I answered that. with the last question is, we worked hamstring for you and Unleash. We worked hamstring at the hip and we worked hamstring at the knee. We would do lying leg curls with the leg curl machine. We didn't really do banded leg curls. I think we put 30 pounds on there, did 3 sets of 25 almost every day. If Dylan was here, I'd have him go through some of that stuff. The thing about Dylan is I didn't hold his hand as he was doing it. I tried to educate him on the whys so that he could understand if he had anything to help that aggravated him later. So the biggest thing is 15, 20, 25 reps, maybe do something for time. Enough tension to where the muscle squeezes, but not too much tension that the muscle strains as it's already under stress. So Ronnie, Unleashed, I hope that I answered your question. If not, feel free to give me a call. Leave me a voicemail because I don't answer a lot of phone calls because I get a lot of spam calls. Sean Wells, what would you say the equivalent for females is for vertical? On the plaque status, 40 for men, what for women? Sean, I think a 30-inch vertical for females is great. If you want to do some type of hard information, I think female potential of males maybe 75%, and I could be totally off, but that's in some text of the potential somewhere. So you take 75% of 40. Let me see if I can do that with a calculator. 0.30. Look at that. Holy cow. Again, Jared's right. So if you take that text of 75%, and then you heard me clicking here on the computer, 75% of 40 is 30. So the equivalent for women, I would say, would be a 30. And so, Sean, thanks for your question. Now I have to go buy a plaque for all my females that jump to 30 because now that matches the percent ratio or whatever that I've read in many texts, and I can't tell you the text because I don't know the text. And I've always pretty much heard 75% of the potential of the male. So I've had my highest male with a 46, my highest female with a 33. So Sean, that was an easy question. I hope that helped. All right, this guy's named Adam. Hey Jared, I'm sure you've gone over this on the podcast and I missed it, but when you're doing heavy light dumbbell jumps, how many total jumps do you have your athletes do? Adam, we don't count how many times we do something. What happens is if you count how many times the athlete jumps, the athlete will go over there, just like you heard me in the beginning of the podcast. Oh, I did 8 times, on to the next thing. When they're not, and if you did assign them 8 times, they may beat it on the 9th. My general rule of thumb is, just like I looked over those folders right there, is you come in and you jump till you beat your record. Those kids may jump 40 minutes. I run a gym, I run a training, an athletic performance training facility, and it's me and all these athletes. Remember, I'm a teacher. I give you the material, you get the shit done. The teacher's not gonna follow me home, make sure I'm doing my homework. The teacher's not gonna sit over there and breathe over my shoulder as I'm reading my book. I give my students the information they need so that they can get better. And so the ones that do improve the most actually spend the most time doing what I want them to do. These kids were there from 10 and 11. I think they may have left around 12, maybe 12:30 today. So once I like organization. I like starting at the top of an hour. But if an athlete wants to go into the next hour, or if they want to do something else, by all means, stay there as long as you can, as long as you get better. I don't care. As long as you're not distracting anybody else, I don't care. Be an example so I can point to you and say, hey, look at this kid. Look what this kid's done. Now look, let's go look at their folder. The kids at the gym that take the greatest notes in the folder have the greatest results. Coincidence? they care. If you take notes, you care. If you don't take notes, you don't care. You know what I'm saying? You're just sitting there. If you were to go listen to me talk or speak somewhere in person, if you care to listen to me, you'll take notes. You listen to the podcast, so obviously you care for learning information. You know, the people that don't listen don't care, or if they don't know about it. So all I'm saying is, we don't have a set number. Years ago, I did have a set number, and it may have been 5 times 3, 8 times 3, or something. That didn't work. And in the book, I go over how many times we jump with the weight in a day, how many times we jump without the weight. So if we're doing 2 weighted and 1 non-weighted, or if we're doing 1 and 1 ratio of what we're doing. But I don't care how many times they go through and do the heavy light method with the dumbbells, as long as they get the result. That may have taken them kids 40 minutes to get. I don't know how many times they jumped in 40 minutes. I don't know how many times I've jumped. Sometimes I've jumped for 40 minutes. I don't count the jump reps. I don't worry about volume and load stuff. You know, I do on bench, squat, and strength training stuff. But even if you look at Verkhoshansky's work, who came out with the shock method, which Fred Wilt turned to plyometrics, is I think they did 4 sets of 10 on depth jumps. That's just way too much, 40 reps. To me now, it don't make sense because of the power output and things you do. So sometimes these kids may come over and be done jumping in 15 minutes. But they're not, I mean, you're talking about they may jump, then rest a minute or 2, jump again, rest a minute or 2. So they may jump 7 times in 15 minutes. They may jump 20 times in 30 minutes. I don't know. It'd be something I'd have to track, but everybody's so very, like, one kid, he went from a 33-inch vertical to a 29-inch vertical. He got worse at the end of 1 month because he didn't care to spend more than 5 minutes jumping. Oop, I jumped, moved on to the next thing. So if you're training kids, and sometimes, most of the time when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about me training kids than other people training other people. For yourself, if you're just an individual want to do it, beat your damn record with the weight, without the weight, and move on. And the biggest thing about jumping, I should have covered this earlier, is the weight is the most important thing. And I hope I hammered that in the stupid book. Weight is more important than non-weight. You cannot take your vertical from a 30 to a 40 jumping without weight. You can't take your bench press from 200 to 315 doing the damn bar or doing air bench. Same thing. You have to have enough tension in exercise to create a specific response. If you're just jumping without the weight, where's the tension in exercise? There's not. So if you read these kids came in and you use their other kids, these are now kids that have example folders, no L&K things. But I showed them other kids that had example folders that did the same thing. And I've got so many others, example folders. If you take care of the weight, the out without weight will come up. You take care of your bench press weight, your bench press will go up. Your bench press with no weight, you ain't gonna have a bench press. So don't get carried away with the cool 40-inch vertical. The 40-inch vertical is a residual effect of jumping with the weights. So how many total jumps? So still continuing trying to read through Adam's thing. How many total jumps you have your athletes do? We don't measure. We try to break records. For those that care, we break records. If they're a young kid, I try to get them to sit there and understand how important it is to break numbers. That's the most horrible thing about the gym is you can't come in and get out and beat your numbers. It takes time. You got to spend time at the gym to beat numbers. The kids that come in and try to get in and out in 45 minutes to an hour, they're there to burn calories. They don't give a shit about improving. And I'm the bad guy. Remember, I'm the teacher. I give you the material. Hey, if you take this, you'll get better. Guess what? Oh, you didn't eat your protein? You didn't eat your freaking dinner? No wonder you feel like ass the next day, because you didn't do what I said. So hopefully people will get the point. And I know you mentioned having your athletes jump 2 to 3 times per week. Yes. The example folders I gave y'all earlier in the podcast, they jump 3 times a week. Me, myself, when I was training, 3 times a week. Most of the people that care, 3 times per week. But sometimes these kids are only coming twice a week, so they're going to jump twice a week. A lot of people don't have this stuff at home. Do I prescribe the same volume for all 3 days? Thanks for your help. Adam, I don't care about volume. I think too many people think about it, so then they get paralysis by analysis. So they are stagnant in their result because they're overthinking. I get on to people, this one kid came to me and said, Jared, how can I do this? What do I need to do? What are wrist reps? And I said, why the hell are you thinking so much? Just do the shit. Get pissed off at it. Be aggressive with what you do. If you want your bench to go up, be aggressive with each rep per set. Try to do each rep with maximum intensity. Try to freaking press the bar so damn fast that your spotter's got to catch it. Play mind games. Everything starts from the brain, goes down. Got to go down the spinal, got to go from the brain to the spinal cord to the tissue. So those nerves are activated by your thought process. If you think weak, you're probably going to be weak. If you think soft, you're probably going to be soft. Even if you're weak, think strong. I told this other kid the other day, I said, you may not be the strongest. You may not be the best right now. But in your brain, when you're doing something, think like you are. Fake it till you freaking make it. Well, I hope I covered a lot of people's questions. I got to email these people back to let them know that I put this out on a podcast. We're doing another podcast on running speed and things like that. Hopefully tomorrow. I need to start doing it, hopefully with my beautiful, beautiful table that I have here. I have a room in my house, lighting system, cameras, mics, everything's set up. So hopefully Jared has no more excuses, because now I don't have to sit my ass at the gym and sweat. There's no air conditioning at the gym. It was 95, I think, in the gym today. So hopefully I helped some people out. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, Instagram's not the best way to reach me. I have a cell that's on the website. You can text me. You can email me. I'll save it until I get to answer your question. info@explosivemechanics.com is the best way to reach me. Put podcast in the subject line, podcast question. Something so that I know that's not spam. Sometimes now the filter system through my website, where I get my emails from, I've been getting spam shit through that. I hate these people. Leave me the hell alone. So you can message me through Instagram. I may look at it. I don't really sit there and hone through it, but I'll get to it eventually. So thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.